Fantastic Four is one of the more frustrating kinds of movies. It's not because it's a terrible movie or even a bad movie, it's a fine movie. Now, the reason this is frustrating is because if it would have been a terrible movie or a bad movie, I just would have forgot about it. Something that didn't do anything for me, I would have just deleted it out of my brain. But a movie that's fine or passable is a movie I dwell on because I fixate on the things that could have made it great. And sadly, Fantastic Four, The First Steps, is one of those movies. You know how in math class growing up, sometimes you'd arrive at the right answer, but you couldn't show your work because you got to that correct answer in the wrong way? That's what the Fantastic Four reminds me of. There's a lot of things right about this movie. I love the 1960s retrofuturism. Compared to Marvel's past movies, it looks very distinct and unique, whereas in the past, a lot of Marvel movies just looked like copy and paste the same movie, that kind of flat, gray look. This has a unique style, and it's beautiful at times. It's not the best looking movie, but it's unique, and that's great for Marvel. Not only that, I think the cast really fits the roles. I mean, they all fit the part that is written on the screen. I also love the sci-fi kind of space race feel to it. I'm just a sucker for those kinds of movies, so that really worked. I mean, at this point in time, after two failed franchises of the Fantastic Four, I think this was the right approach. It's something different. It's a great way to reboot the narrative. It's a great way to make something different in the Marvel Universe by setting it in a different universe. So yes, from a 30,000 foot view, I'd say they made a lot of the right choices. They got the right answer. But it's the way they got there that makes the whole process, the whole movie feel empty. Now, I don't mind that they eschewed the origin story or that they kind of started everything right in the middle of their journey as the Fantastic Four. I don't hate that. I don't think that's the reason why it failed. It failed for me, and I keep saying failed. It's a good movie. It's fine. But the reason it wasn't great for me is because the whole thing just felt rushed and choppy. Now, I mentioned the cast was suited for the roles, but I felt like what was written on the screen was very paper thin. I never got a sense that I knew who these characters were beyond just my cursory knowledge of the characters from their history in the comics. We get a quick montage of their early heroics as the Fantastic Four, but I never got a sense of what this family dynamic is, just beyond the quick little scenes. Like, who are they all individually? What do they want? What are their goals? What are their motivations? And once the Herald for Galactus shows up, all that gets kind of thrown out the window, and it's just rushing from beat to beat to beat, and you really never get this family unit established, which is a bit of a miss because the movie is trying to ground so much of the emotional catharsis in the family dynamic, but it doesn't work for me because I just don't know who this family is. Now, there are attempts to create tension in the film that, again, I think is the right approach, but they just never fully gel for me. First, I really appreciated Reed's internal battle with being the man who normally has all the right answers and can figure everything out, now being confronted with this superpowered being of a child that poses a lot of questions that he can't just easily fit into his life. And I also really appreciate the tension between the Fantastic Four as a family versus the rest of the world who they save. And when they come back from their meeting with Galactus, the world starts to, for the first time, doubt them because they can't do the one thing the world wants them to do, which is give up, spoilers, their baby. Now, all this works on paper, but the main problem I have with the moral kind of trolley problem that Galactus gives them is that the answer to the problem is one I think everyone watching the movie would arrive with. Yes, philosophically, the idea of one child's life versus the life of a whole planet, there is moral tension there, but can anyone who's watching the movie really say that they would give up their baby to solve that problem? No. So as a viewer, the whole time I'm like, well, of course that's what they're going to do. So then you'd think the focus would be on the reaction of the people and them being the saviors of the world and the whole world collectively trusting them, and that tension between having that trust being eroded. But the movie never really focuses on that. There's a couple brief scenes, but then Vanessa Kirby as the Invisible Woman walks out there and just gives a speech, and it's all solved. They kind of all trust them, and it just kind of lacked tension. I really wish the movie would have focused there, and I feel like it lost a lot of tension because it didn't. And then with Reed, there's a great scene between him and Sue Storm where she's questioning that he could even think analytically about the problem they have with their child. And she's throwing accusations at him. And it's a really great scene. I just wish there were more scenes like that because it would have grounded a lot of the more generic action beats. And then there's
Galactus.
I know this is par for the course with superhero movies and especially Marvel, but I'm just tired of these really generic villains who have no human motivations. Like, I get he's this giant force that eats planets and devours planets because of his insatiable hunger. I don't know. Like, I don't care. At this point in the history of superhero movies and how they flood the market, for one to really hit, you really need an antagonist who has grounded emotions and grounded motivations, and even if they're not human, come across as human. Because otherwise they're just this giant amorphous threat that, okay, fine, but like you really need an antagonist with equally strong motivations as the protagonist to make there be, sufficient tension to root for. Now, to counteract this, I really like what they did with the Silver Surfer, giving her a bit more of a backstory and emotional motivation. I really like that. It just was too little too late, I guess. I don't know. I feel bad being this overly harsh on a movie that I overall liked, but just didn't really like or love. Again, it does a lot right. It looks good. There's a great chase sequence through space around a black hole. That's probably the highlight of the movie. But again, it just kind of came back to just the characters and their motivations and the lack of tension in the plot. And, again, it just didn't fully work for me. And those are the reasons why it was good, but not great. Honestly, the best way to explain it now that I think about it is it felt like I watched the sequel to Marvel's Fantastic Four, where a lot of that motivation was already established in the first movie, and I kind of just walked in not knowing it was a second movie and kind of missed a lot of the inner workings of all that and all the dynamics. That's really what it felt like to me. But I think there's enough there for the Fantastic Four to be a good fit going forward in the Marvel Universe, and I look forward to a sequel or seeing them pop up in other films. Again, I really wanted to like this movie. I didn't go in judging it or having preconceived notions. I was rooting for this movie. I love sci-fi. I love space. So the fact that it had those elements, I was so eager for it, and just felt a little flat for me, and that's okay. But I'm willing to give it another watch down the road and see if maybe those issues go away. And I'm really curious to know what you thought about the movie. Let me know what your favorite parts were of the Fantastic Four. Oh, and by the way, we are going to be relaunching our Why It's Great podcast. So hopefully within the next week or the next couple days, I will have more information on that. So be on the lookout in this channel. I will post an update here to let you know where to subscribe. It's going to be different from our previous podcast. We're just going to start brand new, and we're really excited for that. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will be back soon with another video.